Shit, man. All right. We got to go hard today because we're talking about Woodstock. It's episode 77, Fumble Podcast. Pepe is walking through.
What up, little dude?
You'll hear his little paw clicks throughout the hardwood floor because every Persian house has hardwood floor. I don't know why. It's so comfortable. And then they put a rug over it for some reason.
Okay, you guys make amazing rugs, so I would put rugs over shit too. I think I have like a ghetto Persian rug in my house.
What's a ghetto Persian house? By the way, that's Kendrick Williams, the man, the comedian, the genius that doesn't show it. He's here. We both watched that documentary Woodstock '99, the debacle of that whole craziness. Oof, he was a little boy when that shit originally happened, and I was 14.
I was in kindergarten when that shit went down. I was living in Texas, so I didn't hear shit about that. Yeah. They weren't even thinking about Woodstock in Texas at that time.
Yep. And so we're going to talk about that. But tell me what you were saying about what you were saying.
So I think it was really crazy. I had to pause it multiple times to take in the dynamics that were going. Now you had a festival that consisted of ages from 14 to like 30 and upwards, because of people were coming to try to get back the Woodstock of old and trying to get the newness of it. And Michael Lang, the guy who ran the whole thing, I've never met someone who is so complacent in chaos.
Yeah.
He was so complacent in chaos. But I think the reason is because he couldn't let it hit him.
Yeah.
He couldn't let it hit him. And I respect it, but also people were getting hurt, bro. At what point were you gonna call it?
I think that was his defense mechanism. Like he was in the I feel like he was in the eye of the storm.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, he had to. So by the way, Michael Lang, for those who haven't seen the Woodstock '99 documentary, he invented the original Woodstock. He was one of the co-founders. In 1969, the first ever Woodstock, which went beautifully. It was a great festival. It was all about love, peace, and harmony, and good music. Not that the '99 Woodstock did not have good music. It did. It's just different.
Oof.
Yeah, it was a different audience.
It's a way different vibe.
30 years, removed from the original Woodstock, they were trying to do it big to celebrate the 30-year anniversary. But let's just say that the people on the staff and the security, oh my God, the security team they hired
they picked them boys up off the street.
Literally. It's like asking me to be security. Like, I don't even know how to say no.
And the money they were offering, I would have taken it too. I've worked a concert because of people offering me money, and I regretted it every time.
Yeah, you gotta have training, like proper training for a festival that was 250,000 people were there.
That's insane.
Yeah, Elk Grove, for perspective, has 150,000 people in it.
That's insane. Yeah. That's absolutely insane. So I watched
It's almost 2 Elk Groves.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
So I watched after I watched it, I went and watched Fire Island because my cousin had told me about it, because I guess he had bought like stuff to go to it, and he told me all about it.
Yeah.
And when I was thinking about it, I was like, the budget that they were trying to spend for 10,000 people on an island that was owned by Pablo Escobar, supposedly.
Right.
The budget that they had for that was nowhere near the budget that they spent for over 250,000 people. That should have been something for somebody anyway.
Yeah.
250,000 people, and you just thought this shit was gonna go good?
Mm-mm. So that's the problem with it, right? So if you haven't watched this documentary, a lot of you know about Woodstock. If you're over 30, you definitely know about Woodstock. And I want your opinions and put it in the comments. By the way, Fumble Podcast, hit that subscribe button. Give me some super thanks. I need it. I need your help. I want to grow. I want to build this brand for the right reasons. You know what it's about. I'm a comedian, but I try to be a good human being before all of that. And it's all about love. It's all about bringing people together, learning, purifying the mind. That's been my brand since day one. and that's not going to change. And this topic is actually about the human mind and where it's going.
Yeah.
Because of that shit. Because some there's chemical influences that led to the debacle of this festival, and then there was I guess would you call the music a chemical influence? Or?
I think there's been studies done on the audio frequency of certain music that that can kind of spark things in the mind for erratic behavior. But I think a lot of what took place there was herd mentality.
Yeah.
That was herd mentality. That one of the artists, as he was talking about it, he said he looked out into the audience and saw a wave going back and forth from the stage and back.
Right.
As the music was hitting them, it was changing them as it went through them. They were following the herd in front of them, so they just kept going, and it rebound back as sound does.
How does that happen, bro? You think you would have taken part of that, like if you were there?
If I was there, I know myself. I get myself out of situations, and like I get myself out of situations that aren't gonna be like my same vibe. I probably would have left on the first day.
Yeah.
Like once I'm uncomfortable, and they had no heat, and that's another thing. Most of those people were suffering from heat exhaustion, otherwise heat stroke and dehydration.
Yeah.
Their behavior, I'm really not even like I tried to give a justification to all the horrible things that went on, but for the grand scheme of things, utilitarian looking, that could have been way worse.
Oh, for sure.
The numerous, there was only four reported incidents of deaths.
I didn't even know there was deaths. There were deaths.
There's four reported incidents of deaths, and then a numerous amount of sexual harassment,
which was crazy.
and assault. Yeah. But there was all these things took place while it was. And this started off as a festival of peace and love, and I think that's how it was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be, yeah.
But what happened there was rich. I call it how it is. The rich mentality. They were so far from what was happening that by the time things had blown up, there was nothing they can do about it. They had treated these people the worst that you could possibly treat them, and then they caged them in an area together, so they have nothing more but to take it out on you or each other. And then you had underage people there that should have been there in the first place. So you have all this trauma just happening in unison.
Yep. And if again, there was reports of 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds at this festival, which was the furthest thing. I mean, I was 14 when this shit was going down. Like in 99, I was 14, about to enter high school. And actually, I was in high school, yeah. I better be in high school at 14, goddamn. How many times did I fail? No. But no, and then I just remember hearing about it, but they did a really good job of hiding the real shit that went down at the time. And now what? Is 21 years later.
Protect the dream. So Americans and humans in general, it's easier to believe in a better ideal, something that took place, than it is to think of what really took place. Like
because of the original Woodstock, Woodstock, and the few other iterations of it that went well. People will want to keep that, right?
Yeah.
It's like Michael Jordan on the Bulls, not Michael Jordan on the Wizards.
but also what I also have to say for the music, I don't think music can actually physically cause physical behavior. That's ultimately the person's decision. But the lineup they had, was. What would I like? They only showed the like really crazy sets that set off everything.
Yep.
But I had to imagine the sets in between those weren't nearly as conducive if they were ready to blow this quickly. And then with the day that they were having, that was a powder keg.
Yeah, dude. So okay, Korn. In high school, when I was in high school, Korn was like God. Like. Every motherfucker had a shirt on that said Korn, and they were such an influence at that time, and they were one of the headlining bands. I think night one it was them,
Yeah, I was in the hood listening to Korn. I mean, quietly in my room, but
yeah.
And then like the guys who did listen to it, they crazy thing that I thought about it. They were either the ones that seemed like they were going through something, or they had unresolved anger issues, and a lot of this festival was testosterone taken to a whole nother level. Because I don't think people think too deeply how hard it is to live with testosterone. Some of us don't like that.
Yeah.
Like walking out the house just
Yeah.
aggressive.
Because you don't know how to channel it properly. You don't have the proper professional guidance, and all of that mixed together, and then put Korn on live, and they're basically insinuating that not insinuating, but they're like guiding the crowd to this another level of psychotic like behavior almost.
But the thing about it, I think there was no other way to do it from an entertainment standpoint.
Right, they had to. Yeah,
there was no other way to do it. I don't think if I was going out in front of that crowd, I would have held back at all.
No, you can't pussyfoot around at that point. You have to hit it hard. It's a festival of 250,000 people, man.
Yeah.
That's not.
That's a record-breaking crowd. That's insane.
I don't think any band has ever performed in front of 250,000 people simultaneously. That does not happen. The biggest, I mean, even Wembley Stadium holds only 100,000 people.
And for 3 days, they housed this much people. Now, they did lose some people after the first day, but surprisingly enough, alarming amount of people stayed. And then when the fires broke off, why is it that as soon as we are treated badly, we get to the lowest point that we can possibly be mentally, we just go fucking feral? By the end of it, it was all tribal behavior. Let's circle around the fire and dance when there's no fucking music going on.
Well, the festival was done.
Yeah, it was done.
Yeah,
like there's no music.
Limp Bizkit was another act that came on.
Yo, Fred Durst in my book will always go down in history as the man who gave not a single fuck. He left that concert feeling great.
I know. He was and he even said it's not I'm out here to perform. It's not on me to control the crowd. And he's right.
He's great.
I don't cast any blame on the bands or the musicians. It's on the management side and lack of organization. They tried to repeat 1969 without half of the organization. It was first of all, we have to go back and think, what was the music scene in 1969 versus 99? It is
drastic.
Oranges to apples, man.
You know how much trauma was taken in by that generation from that point to that point?
Yeah.
That from 69 on, you had dealt with fucking Vietnam and shit.
Yeah.
You had people on the streets recovering from Vietnam.
People wanted peace. They wanted to love. Yeah.
They wanted peace, but the music of the time did not give that to them. The music of the time missed that. It catered to that. Almost, and that's what was interesting.
You're talking about 99 or 60?
Yeah, 99.
99. Yeah, nice.
It catered to the angst. It catered to the I'm fucking angry.
Yeah.
The world has done something wrong to me. The rich have done something wrong to me, and then you invite counterculture artists to a place that was pretty much based on culture.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They were trying to recreate a 30-year-old idea with the current teenage generation, like late teenagers, which obviously it didn't even stick to that. But like the 20-year-olds, like you said, testosterone-driven dudes who were just rolling through. And the music was also from 99, which was, like we said, metal, hard, heavy, none of which was present in the 60s. Like 60s was all hippie shit, and it was all... You know, you got the Beatles, you had like Bob Dylan, you had all these like tame level musicians. Yeah. They tried a couple in the 99 one. Willie Nelson was there, right? Jewel. They tried to bring Jewel, but Jewel walked off stage because it was too late.
It was gone. She knew as soon as she got up there. Like it was... Wyclef Jean did the national anthem, which is funny. For years, I watched that performance online, and they cut it before the bottles started getting thrown.
Yeah,
I was like, so we're just not going to talk about the fact that these people were done with everything that you had to do.
Like you said, they're protecting the dream, right?
Mhm.
And the reality, unfortunately, wasn't that. But you mentioned something over text to me about if the audio frequency has any influence on the mind.
Yes.
And that was something that was so riveting to me, which led us to doing this podcast because I wanted to talk about that specifically. I've been in metal bands. I toured in a metal band. And obviously, it was not even 200 people, let alone 250,000.
Yeah.
But the amount of energy you can control with 200 people, dude, 200 people were moving at my fingertips.
Exactly.
And that has nothing to do with the number. It has to do with the music because 200 or 250,000, you collectively grab them. There's gonna be one or two people here and there that are not vibing, and they get out of it, like you said.
I'm gonna take it a step further. So with herd and pack mentality, which often takes place when people are in crowds together, all they need is an alpha to guide them. No one in the group or the herd is particularly ready to take the step forward to do the things, to do the erratic things. Their mind and the intrusive thoughts is giving it. But as soon as you have a composer, that is there to just lead them on the way, they will follow you wherever you want them to go. And
it's a subconscious thing. It's not a conscious decision.
It's a subconscious thing for you. But what actually takes place is this thing called polarization. I was watching Dave Chappelle. He talked about it. He learned about it in an acting class. Polarization, essentially taking a group of people and having them focus on a particular point. And being completely focused on that point. And when you have that, you have full control over them. You can, if you move left, they're moving left. If you move right, they're moving right. And I believe there's certain frequencies on cars, like Formula One cars and things of that sort, that when they hit that decibel, that it causes arousal.
Right.
And
that's true, man. I've been to drag racing before, and as soon as the cars passed, first of all, as soon as they're burning tire to get traction for the race, something like in your mind just switches. Like I can't even tell you what it was, but I forgot everything I knew before that, and I'm just in that moment. Like it just took over my psyche.
Yeah.
And that's the same shit here.
And what's crazy is the difference between the higher registers and the low registers.
Wow.
So the low registers, you'll have people like Jewel. Jewel can have an entire audience of 250,000 people be ready to put up candles.
Yeah. Which they also did.
And then they used them for other purposes. But at that point, she was walking into
she was already gone. Yeah.
She had walked into like a living dumpster truck.
Yeah.
That was such a horrible treatment of human, of just to put on another human. The fact that years later, when I heard Michael Lang talk, and he was still so unaffected by it, I was like, oh, he checked out in the fucking 70s.
Yeah.
There's nothing left in this man. This dude was straight hollow with it. I've never seen someone with such lack of it. He was still sticking to the few bad apples. I'm like, 250,000 people, that's not a few bad apples, it's a whole fucking tree.
That's the whole, it's bigger than the city I'm living in right now.
Yeah.
That's how much it was.
And then what he did was with the set list. That's what I'm talking about. The set list.
Yeah.
You had Jewel and things of that sort coming on after fucking Korn.
Yeah.
What were you doing to that audience? What were just for, like, even if you go to a party, right? You go to a party and you go to like hard EDM music, and then someone takes it down to like jazz,
right?
Or the opposite direction. You're listening to jazz, and then someone throws hard EDM music.
Yeah.
Your brain is going to be scrambled, and it's not going to know what to do.
Right. Because, like you said, herd mentality, like the aggressive stuff, they have to be presented, I feel, at the end, not in the beginning or the middle, because then you can control the mood. You can build them up in a much more civilized way. Right. I'm not saying they shouldn't have had Korn and Limp Bizkit at the festival. I'm saying where they put them, And the dude on the 21-year-old guy who was on the staff, he
Yeah.
was like, "This is gonna be." He said it. He's like, "This is not gonna go well." And they're like, "Shut the fuck up! You don't know what you're saying."
Yeah.
And so ego had a lot to do with this.
And money.
Money.
Holy crap. They were selling $4 a bottle in 99.
Never.
Are you kidding me?
$4, dude. That's when I would have left because my cheap ass is like, "Oh, $4, bye bye."
See, I grew up in the projects. We were getting quarter drinks, man.
Yeah.
Like the little barrel things. Like I'm saying y'all could have given them that and it would have been something, but y'all were charging. And then what's crazy is the prices were going up because they sold out to the vendors before the thing even started. So the vendors had full control of everything that was going on. So you had, by the end of the day, you're looking at $8 waters, you're $12 beers.
Yeah.
At 99, I know that's like our normal pricing now, but
yeah, dude, water is anyway. You said it. The biggest difference, I think, between the 69 Woodstock and the 99 Woodstock was money. The 69 Woodstock was not about the money. It was literally what drove it was the need for love and peace and unity because of Vietnam, because of all the shit that was happening at that time. Fast forward to 99, everyone had recovered from Vietnam to a degree. Everyone had recovered. There wasn't another like catastrophe that people were really dealing with. It really didn't happen until after 99 with Y2K and shit. But up in 99, people, like you said, teenagers were misunderstood. There were the Misfits, which was an actual band. Like
which is just symptoms of burnout. Emotional burnout.
Yeah.
Over decades, you have gone through this emotional burnout, either watching it or witness or being part of it yourself. Mm-hmm. For those years, you were you were dealing with that emotional taxing, that emotional trauma. The world around you was changing at a really fast pace.
Yeah.
Music was changing. People were changing. Yeah. There was so much change happening. It doesn't surprise me that there would be a burnout at the end of it all. And what's interesting is that we're running into the same thing now.
Yep. Now, what I'm saying is, what I'm thinking of right now is the age group of the people that went to the 69 festival, 20-year-olds. So they were children of the late 40s or 50s, right? Mm-hmm. The children of the 80s were at this festival.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm a children of the 80s. There was kids at this festival my age. We saw this shit. Unfortunately, some of them got victimized. The female ones, and at least the ones they talked about on the documentary. There was more,
countless more. They like. I don't think they could actually, the amount of calls that were coming in afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't think they actually could have quantified it themselves. No. It was for 250,000 people, a span of 3 days. You're exhausted. I don't know if I can pull in the numbers.
The HR, the PR, all of the stuff that needed to be there was not there in 99. With all that said, again, I was thinking if you and I could redo this whole festival, which I feel like Woodstock got a bad rep because of this. It wasn't the festival. I still don't blame the festival. I blame the organizers. I blame the lack of attention to detail.
Yep.
You can't just wishy-washy come up with a festival. Like we talked about, Fire Festival, what failed because of the same reason. But thank God it failed because that would have been probably worse.
And what was interesting was hearing them being interviewed afterwards.
Yeah.
Like the money guy at the end of it, completely unbothered.
Yeah. The bald dude.
In fact, he was blaming the acts. I'm like, you can't blame the acts for doing what you paid them to do.
You put them there. Yeah. You signed off on that shit.
For what you paid them to do. You can no longer be mad at what happens further. You knew what they were about. You knew what it was, or you should have known what they were about.
Right.
What you did was you paired all the bands that you thought would bring the most money to you in the largest scale. Even when you had people coming underneath the fence and you weren't prepared.
Yep.
You still looked at the money and said, I can keep going on torturing these people for 3 days.
Yep. They didn't give a shit about the people.
They didn't care.
That's the repercussions, right? Now, because of that, unfortunately, we lost Woodstock and it's been 22 years that we've lost it. But I feel like in 2029, I want to see a 60-year one, but we learned what not to do.
That would, I was thinking the same thing.
And I think in 2029, I feel like you hire the proper people to run this thing the right way, like a Vince McMahon type of guy, or not Vince right now, he fucked up, but like a Dana White type of guy who can organize something like this, and he has a proven record, like Mavericks owner. Yeah. I love that guy.
Yeah. Mark Cuban, I would like to see involved.
Yes.
Mark Cuban works in a number of different venues and things of that sort, but he has a lot of money that he likes to give to good causes. And I think bringing it back would be something that I would like to see, because I think culturally and mentally as a people where we're moving, even fashion-wise, vintage clothing is coming back. You have people going to more thrift shops than you have going to brand stores, which was the vibe of the 69 and 70s the entire time. The people are now indulging in more. The weed is less taboo of a thing.
Oh, for sure.
So are other drugs, but still.
Right.
Like,
there's a lot of hippies again.
A lot of hippies. There's a lot of hippies back in the world again.
I think there can be a lot of success. We were at a party last night that had some hippies.
Well, yeah. There were a lot. There was a lot of stuff happening there.
Yeah.
I could go into the psychological dynamics of that.
Yeah, and it was only, hey buddy, yeah. And Pepe's like,
but to be fair, I only know this from my own reading and my own self journey. So I am in no way, shape, or form an expert, nor taken away from experts. Just saying.
We're not experts at all. Yeah,
exactly. Please go to therapy. It's helpful.
Please, yeah. We're just a couple comics that have some views on this. I've never claimed to have a professional advice on anything. In fact, one of my slogans is, I don't know shit. I don't know anything. So it's, but the beauty is conversation. The conversations that are needed to just open the mind, purify the mind, learn about the innermost dynamics of human thinking. Because honestly, like, what else is there to do? Like, what I mean, look at this world right now. I don't like talking about the real shit that's going on out there, because I like to make people laugh, have a good time, and try to forget about that. But things ain't good right now, man.
But that's the thing. I think people have spent so much time shying away from the negative things that exist, and they focus on the positive, but the positive things are so much sweeter when you've overcome the negative.
Yeah, you got to have responsible positivity.
You have to have your own self. You have to have your own self check-in. You have to say to yourself, I did these bad things are happening, things of that sort, and saying, okay, I'm imperfect, and that's perfectly okay. I'm still growing. I'm still a good person.
Right.
You can do bad things and still be a good person. You have to learn to give yourself forgiveness and give yourself grace. Forgive your things for the negative and love yourself for the positive.
Yeah. I think one thing that'll add a lot of positivity if 2029 Woodstock is to happen, they need comedians. I think the Woodstock could has some use for some comics, man.
Right now the comedians are drawing a huge crowd. That's a big thing. Did you see the Netflix is a joke?
Yeah.
That was a huge con. That was like that. I go to like some Comic Cons. That rivaled some Comic Cons.
Yeah.
The people that showing up for comedy, and the people that are getting into comedy right now.
And the other thing that I noticed with comedians, Pete Davidson, he had a special recently, and he's got musicians mixed with comics coming on stage. It's a great formula. I loved it because it breaks the laugh after laugh after laugh after laugh. There is some sort of exhaustion that happens.
But I would do it. I'd have it specifically set up.
Oh, for sure.
If I'm going to bring comedians to perform at that large of a scale, I want, if I'm going, I may give them a whole day, or I may have a set list that brings you here and comes down to a point where you're comfortable taking in comedy again, where you're not no longer looking for music, you're a little bit burnt out and you need a laugh, you know? You had a long day.
Yeah.
That's when you bring it in. And or have a full day where you know that's what you're walking into.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You come see a Netflix is a joke festival where it's really you have multiple comedians going up after another, headliner after headliner, hitting it hard.
Yeah.
You can, and I guarantee, honestly, you will probably still see that crowd, that herd mentality take place, but it will take place in an entirely different fashion, closer to how 69 was.
Yeah. I think, but like but again, the frequencies, right? The frequencies is what has to be organized in a very, very meticulous way.
I think a seasoned musician, a seasoned musician figures that out. Seasoned musician understands the control that they can have over a crowd, which is why they create a set list the way they do, because they have a way in their mind that they want the crowd to feel at the end.
Yeah. By the way, you don't think they asked some of the bigger names to go to this and they totally turned it down?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see Metallica there, and they were huge in 99.
Yeah.
I didn't see System of a Down. They were getting big. Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
They might have been there.
They might have been there. I looked it up,
because they were chanting System of a Down lyrics at the end of it.
Yeah.
So
if you guys were at the festival, this is a cool thing. If anybody who's been at that festival, first of all, hit the comments on this episode. You can follow me, Pej the Maniac, on all social media platforms. DM me. I want to hear from you because that is a real take I want to hear about, like being in that fire.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole different perspective. Like you and I talking about it from the documentary is very surface level.
And I think the last thing I'll say is even Netflix tried to control the narrative and protect the dream. Because they brought on these two guys. Both came together, but they both experienced that festival on entirely different levels. With the dude with the mullet, he's still there.
Yeah.
And the other guy, it was a great memory, but terrifying.
Yep. It's true.
And they needed to have that contrast so you can see the minds of what was going on during that place.
Yeah. Pepe's having a herd mentality right now. He's doing his own little mosh pit with Grandpa's couch. Grandpa, if you're watching this, don't panic. Your couch is fine.
That's another thing. Whoever came up with mosh pits, like that release of that much anger, in that large of a group.
No.
As soon as that started to pop off, at some point you got to look at it, be like, yo, do I have enough security for this?
No. And the security. We talked about it.
Yeah.
The security was basically a bunch of just Joes and Jameses. Like it was not anyone over 200 pounds. One
dude gave his shirt up and joined the festival.
Yeah. Like how do you not monitor that?
Like, but the thing that messed me up about the whole thing is that when they asked people afterwards if they would go back and do it again, they would go back.
Yeah, because there was a high to it. There was a literal high, and then also
something about being feral and not giving a fuck has to be freeing.
It's free. Oh, that's what it is. People are chasing that freedom, right? And there was a lot of anti-establishment going on in the 90s, because people were getting sick and tired of being told what to do. We weren't that far removed from the Rodney King beating, and that caused waves for years.
And then to do it in New York, that's already the melting pot and diversity of what it was at the time.
Yeah.
You have that many different cultures and people come together at this festival.
Yeah.
Oh, you were asking a lot from those people. You were asking a lot.
Location. Like
you were asking a lot, and then to put them through what you put them through, that was wow.
Yeah.
That was money, greed, and the disconnect that we find in our minds from the storm that's going around us. It's the complete dissociation.
Yeah, man. It's exactly right. So let us know what you think. Do you think 2029 Woodstock has legs? Will it come back? 60-year anniversary? Obviously, they should start planning it now because that's how much details it's going to take to get it right. They did the other one in a year. That is not enough
That's
time.
not enough time. Now, Watching Fire and the average time to set up a festival of even a scale of 10,000 would normally take 12 months to plan out. But when you have that set list, you have that many people making it, and the possibility of that many people showing up.
Yeah.
The amount of time that I've taken to go that, even for a fake festival like Fire Festival.
Yeah.
You were the amount of time that you should have been putting together for that was not.
Nope, not at all. And Michael Lang is no longer with us. He passed 3 months after the shooting of that documentary.
I'm gonna say it because nobody else is. Guilt's a motherfucker, ain't it? Because I think when they brought this shit back up in his old age, he was like, "Fuck it, damn."
I've lived long enough now, I don't think he meant for what happened to happen, but it happened, and he was this co-founder. By the way, who's the other person they never talk about that? I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, I got to Google that shit.
He's living in his millions somewhere.
Yeah, he's like, I'm good with the 69.
I think the festival taught him. He was like, maybe I should take a break from humans. I don't like where this is headed.
Yeah. Corn just sounds like it's gonna be a fuckery.
Yeah. I've never seen what it's not.
Yeah. Oh man, I saw Corn recently, man. They're still going. They opened for System. But yeah, they're still going strong, man.
Just to say with more psychologically, I listen to them when I want to go into the gym and fuck shit up.
Yes, that's exactly right. I work out to metal or I work out to gangster hip hop. Those are my two types of music I work out to.
Because I'm either being I'm either being a hardened drug dealer or I'm being a lunatic. One of the two.
Yeah.
That's
and neither of them are direct lines of the music. And we're not blaming the music. It's just the chemical imbalance that takes place that kicks in the endorphins to allow you to do
all
that.
It is the same way the festival was. Think of that as a big brain. All we are powder codes. We're consistent to triggers all the time.
Yeah.
All the music does is snap a trigger that was already fucking there. We had the switch. They just said on.
Right.
That's
and then the fuse kind of just burned out and it stayed on.
Yeah.
They didn't turn that bitch off.
That
Jewel tried to turn it off and she's like, okay, I'm just gonna.
And that's people chasing the dopamine and the endorphins and all the stuff that's released in the brain that says this is okay.
Yeah. Oh man, but it's a lesson learned. 99 Woodstock was a huge lesson in humanity and the range of humanity because we are a danger to ourselves if not controlled and if not directed. We need leadership. We need an alpha, but we need an alpha that's responsible, right? We need,
Counter argument to that.
Tell me.
I think we don't need alpha. I think historically we've tried to rely on these alphas and it causes things like this herd mentality to take place.
Okay.
I think when more people, like what's coming up now in the culture where everybody's brokenhearted and shit, which seems to be the culture that's coming up, just all hurt people. And I think when we look to ourselves to be our own leader, we will stop relying on the input in the negative and or positive input of other people. We no longer have to rely on it like the positive like a drug, the negative like the drug we shouldn't take.
Yeah.
We have to stop relying on these big things. Like I think that we are so reliant on the one that we forget about the whole, which is us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's true. Yeah. I mean, I guess this is the real question is, do you think everyone, given mental health issues being such a big deal and it's a very real thing that a lot of people deal with, and I'd argue everybody deals with it on a certain level. On a certain level, right? It's just the majority of humanity knows how to either cover it up to look normal, whatever normal is, with the times, and we move with the times to fit. To just kind of like be the perfect piece of the puzzle that's out there. But the ones that are tired of that, we label them as crazy or they need to be in an institute or something like that. Having conversations with people like that, I've learned more sometimes than having conversations with someone who's not really showing their mania or whatever extreme that they're thinking.
Yeah, the masking that we do from the day to day. A lot of times in conversation that we have with each other, we mask the things that are going on behind.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's good to take that mask off and experience the world for yourself, and to understand that the things that we hide aren't something to be ashamed of. It isn't like you said, everyone at some point is dealing with mental health on some level. When you lose something, when you lose someone, we're all in dealing with these things all the time, living in the world we live in.
Yep.
And I think you giving yourself the freedom to let it down will be astronomical for what it can do. Give yourself the freedom and the grace to say that I can be myself, and people are either going to accept me or they're not. But at least I know now.
Yeah. That shit it's a lot of fear involved in that. People are afraid to show that.
Shit, I do it.
Yeah, but do it. Same, man. It's when you, to me, and I still, like we said, fear is a constant. It's always there, just waiting to bring you down and from reaching your potentials, from reaching your true self, from loving yourself even. And I think life is supposed to be tough. It's not meant to be easy, right? And that could be a whole other podcast about how we raise our kids. I purposely don't want kids right now. I don't know what the future holds, but I don't want kids right now because I know I'm still a kid in my head sometimes. Yeah. And I need to be able to have that when it comes to being fun and lively and living a free life, but still be able to make sound decisions when I'm hit with the tests. I've gotten better, but the struggle is still real, and I still deal with that. So, Pepe, quiet, please. There's a kid right there that doesn't listen. And there you go. With his whatever's left of his toy, he brings up. He loves that thing. But yeah, man, it's we can argue that what happened in Woodstock was people coming out, right? But it was uncontrolled. Not that it needs to be.
That was exactly what the generation of that time needed.
Yeah.
They needed that release of energy.
Yeah.
I think as tragic as a lot of the things that went on, that generation needed that release.
I agree.
They needed that release. All the stuff they had been through over this past couple of years, they needed that release.
It was both freeing. I would say at the point where lives were taken and sexual assault happened and the fires that took place and other things that were harmful to other people, if people just could fix all of that, which is a lot. I'm not saying it's little. It's a lot. And unfortunately, sometimes that's part of the package. It comes with that because we're not capable of making sound decisions when we're in that state, right? And that's, I think, the point. But therapy, mental health, all of this shit was just smack dab on full display.
Do your shadow work, man.
Yeah. Shadow work. You got it. Yeah. We have to that's something I've been doing. Working on self-love and being able to be okay with myself. And by the way, everyone makes mistakes. That's the whole point of life. Yeah. I used to beat the shit out of myself over that.
Yep.
And I'm learning. I'm still struggling with it, but I'm learning to understand it. That's the real dream, is that struggle. Kobe Bryant said it. The dream is in the struggle. The dream is in the journey, in the 4 o'clock in the morning wake ups to work on your craft when no one's watching, when no one gives a shit, actually.
Yeah.
Like when you're doing that, because you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. That becomes self-love. That becomes self-appreciation. Yeah. That becomes self-worth. Because in return, you give that back to the people. And what are we other than just wanting to give love and give what we're good at, what we're gifted with to the people around us, to the humanity, to the world. So, you want to plug away your channels?
You can follow me on Instagram at Kinetic Fitness. It's KEN Magnetic Fitness. I would work on that tag more.
Yeah.
But you can also just come check me out in Sacramento, and I'm coming out to the Bay. Kendrick Williams, full name.
That's right.
I'm a funny guy, I think.
Just look for the short African American guy. That's usually him.
That's me.
Yeah.
But like I'm always well dressed. That's how you tell me.
That's actually the real way you find him. Yeah. When you see that diamond coming at you, that's him. And he wears a lot of jewelry, as you can see. I'll probably have to edit the video on this just because of all the bling. I'm Pej the Maniac. This has been episode 77. We talking Woodstock and we talking mental health and how it's all related. Let me know what you thought of Woodstock. Let me know your thoughts on mental health. Let me know if you think there should be a 2029 Woodstock 60-year anniversary. Done right, of course. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to my channel. I love you long time. Give me a super thanks. Follow both of us. I'll catch you all in the next one.
Peace.